had a problem, a serious one. My code was breaking and I had no idea why. I was building a feature, one that needed to work with different types of data. One moment it was dealing with numbers, the next it needed to handle strings. I wrote my functions, confident in my TypeScript skills, but then TypeScript wasn't happy. My functions were rigid, tied to a specific data type. Every time I tried to reuse them, I had to rewrite the same logic for different types. It was a nightmare. Let's take a look at the problem together. Here I have the fetch user function that makes a request to a specific endpoint to get a specific user. Now this returns a promise of an object of key ID with a type of number and key name with a type of string. Here, I also have a fetch product function that makes a request to a specific endpoint and returns a promise of an object with a key, ID, title, and price, which represent numbers and strings. I also have an async function called main, which calls and awaits the fetch user function and the fetch product function. You can see that from the user response, I can get the object types returned from the response. As well as the product, I can get the ID, price, and the title. Now, while this is awesome and super great, it could get very exhausting and overwhelming over time, because if I need to make a different request, I'll need to create a new function and pass a new type as well, which leaves me with a very robust code base. Hence, as a good software engineer, we should aim for the dry principle. Don't repeat yourself. Now, which I basically did here by refactoring my code. So basically, I decoupled the types from each fetch function and declared the type user and product with the respective data types. I also created a new function called fetchData that takes in a URL as a string. Now this function takes care of all my requests, which means I no longer need to write multiple functions to make multiple requests, which is more dynamic. Now, here's the issue, guys. From the main function where I call the fetchData function, passing a dynamic URL of the request I want to make. From the response gotten from each of these requests, I no longer get type hinting, which is not really good. But why? That's because the fetchData function isn't taking any return types, so it doesn't know what to return, which is bad. So I did what every developer would do. I basically researched every Stack Overflow thread, every forum, every blog post until I found the solution, generics, alas, which is a way to write reusable, flexible, and type-safe code. Let me show you how this works. So basically, in a nutshell, generics are dynamic placeholders or parameters that are used for dynamic typings. To do this, I'll assign the return type a promise, but with a dynamic parameter known as the generic. Then I'll receive the generic type from the function which is passed as the type user and product. Now my response now has the type hinting again, which is super awesome. And just like that, my code was fixed. No more duplicate functions, no more type errors, just clean code and reusable code. Now, did you know about generics in TypeScript? Now you do. So guys, if you found this tip very helpful, kindly leave a like and also hit the subscribe button. Turn on notifications so you don't miss a video whenever I drop one. Until next time, happy coding.